All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Brandon Golden. Got another edition of the Brandon Golden Show dropping Monday. Special guest Chase Burns. Looking forward to that, and we'll talk about that and more. Brandon, how you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. How you doing?
Doing good. When I think Chase Burns, I think about my guy Dixon Williams hitting a home run off Chase Burns in a showdown at Clark LeClaire Stadium, and I was thinking about that, Brandon. I feel like that day. Plus, it was an elimination game, I think, too, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, that we kind of knew what we were watching with Savage and Burns, guys. And we didn't know that they would make the climb to the majors that quickly, but we knew we were seeing two, pretty special guys go at it. And I was thinking about some other games I was at. I was thinking about when I was a student at WZMB at ECU, I was lucky enough to be able to call play-by-play, do play-by-play games at the very top camera deck at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. It was awesome. And saw ECU versus UCF. And at the time, UCF's number one receiver was Mike Thomas, who went into or Mike Walker, I should say, who went into the NFL as Mike Sims Walker, pretty good player. But their number two receiver was Brandon Marshall. And I didn't know at the time that I'd be seeing one of the most productive NFL receivers of all time play a college football game, and Chris Johnson on the other side. So pretty cool looking back on it. But I guess
Yeah.
my point is I think we kind of knew what we were looking at with Burns versus Savage, two guys at the top of their game that maybe we'll be hearing about for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Two obviously really special guys. Like, shoot, Chris Johnson's senior year was my freshman year at East Carolina, so that was an awesome time to be
Yeah.
hired and be around there. But yeah, man, I mean, look, I consult with Wake. I was lucky enough to be at Bridgie's wedding, so I wasn't at Clark LeClaire. That was one
Oh,
of those
yeah.
things where it's like, what are we gonna do? I was actually sitting there getting ready for the wedding. The missus and everybody was getting ready, and I was hanging out with Ryder and Dietz, and we were getting ready to take it over to Bridgie's wedding. And man, what an unbelievable postseason! What an unbelievable game! Those guys pitched their behinds off, both of them, and yeah, Dixon got that one.
Do you know, Brandon, like, did they, other than what we see on the mound, like working with these guys, what do Burns, Savage, what do they have that maybe other good players don't, that make those guys great? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, can you
yeah. I mean,
identify it?
for sure. I mean, I think, like, obviously I get to work with Chase, a good bit. Talked with him the other day. Just the way he goes about his business, he's just a different human being. You know what I mean? Like, we got a first round kid out of high school here that's, those guys, when they're that talented and they're that successful, like, they're just different. I don't know Trey as well, but just watching how he dealt with some of the negative things that he had to deal with, a little bit after his outing with against New York, like, where people were talking negative about him, and even some of the things that he said before I can't remember exactly if it was before he debuted or if it was before a certain point in the postseason, but he was talking about, I'm built for this, and I remember first looking at that and I was like, man, that's a bold statement. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, the regionals at East Carolina prepared me for the playoffs in the big leagues, and it's like that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But he was right. He was prepared. His stuff was unbelievable, and he went out and did it. Burns he's the same way, man. Like, watched him do things all season. He was at Wake. I was around a good bit with him, and I'm working with him still. And it's he's a special human being, and those guys, they teach you things. They make sure they make you make sure you're on your game when you're around them, because they're just elite humans. It's fun to be a part of.
Brandon Golden joining us. Looking forward to the conversation with Chase Burns. And speaking of Burns and Savage, some guys have the look too, Brandon, of a stud pitcher. And we got to talking about that a few weeks ago, talking about Ethan Norby, who is an absolute stud. But you don't see a ton of guys in the majors that look like him. And Mike Mullis and I were running over some names like Mike Hampton from back in my day, but like Scott Kazmir was a kind of shorter lefty, and you see some shorter guys. But what is that? I mean, how much of an advantage is being 6'2" over being 5'11", 6 foot as a pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have, from a biomechanical standpoint, you have leverage. You can do different things with the baseball, the release point. I mean, obviously Trey's given a lot of world class hitters some very big fits, at the plate, with just the way he throws the baseball and the way it comes out of his hand. But yeah, I mean, there's more time to get on top of it. I mean, like Gavin, who's in the picture behind me, he can do some different things because of how big he is and how talented he is. But at the same time, like you can see it. Like you're talking about the look. Like I trained Ethan when he was in high school in my garage before I had this facility. So he would work his tail off and he would do a lot of things out there that he was just going to beat you. Like he wasn't going to lose and he wasn't going to let somebody outwork them. And it's just, again, Clip, I think it just comes down to like who they are as people, and they're elite human beings. And, CG talks about this all the time in the program down there. It's like how you do anything is how you do everything. And that's literally how the guys that are some of the most elite players, they're elite humans. They're elite with their sleep. They're elite with their nutrition. They're elite with their
Yeah.
relationship with their friends and families and girlfriends and wives. And that's just who they are. So it's a pretty cool thing to watch.
And I know Cliff's a big, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, not because they're the greatest players ever, but because they're almost psychotic in their competitive nature. And he loves guys like that. And I think Ethan's one of those guys, too, just hearing his teammates talk about him and how sometimes he can, when he was younger, he would get in his own head a little bit too much. And that's something, too, Brandon, about growing as a person and a player, right? And Trey, I remember asking Danny Beal, is it good that Trey is making his debut in a minor league park? Because who was it? The Rays were playing in a minor league stadium
Yep.
rather than their major league, and he was like, "Yeah, but it really don't matter. Like he could play in front of 80,000 or 800, and it'd be about the same." And that's special too when you have guys that can focus like that.
1,000,000%. It's rare, obviously, but it's again, just goes back to who they are.
Yeah. Brandon, I thought about asking you this too. What are from a training standpoint, what are the conversations like outside of, and if it's a medical trainer, how you feeling? Does this hurt? How's this? Or if it's, training physically, your swing and everything. You talk about the team? Do you talk about life? You've probably had a number of different conversations with guys, but
Yeah.
how does that part of it go for you?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about literally anything and everything. Like if it's one of those things where you're just sitting there talking about the baseball side of things, like it's a very superficial, transactional
Right.
relationship. It's not a real relationship. I think that's one thing that I've been really good at throughout my career is like getting to know people. And yeah, sure, obviously we have a job to do, and it's to prepare you for the big leagues, for college baseball, wherever you're playing at, but also getting to know those people and kind of going through life with them as well. I mean, some of the things that Chase and I talk about, like he's getting into guns, he's building some stuff at his house so he can shoot his guns and all that cool stuff. And I'm like, well, shoot, man, like we need to go hunt sometime. He's like, dude, I'm getting to hunting, doing all this stuff. Like it's just cool to talk to those guys about more things than baseball. And then like when I call Gav, like I hardly try not to talk about baseball because, like he talks about it enough. And, people are always asking those guys like, oh, well, what was it like in, this city or this town when you were playing so-and-so and you got to face whoever. They hear that all the time. So like being able to talk to them and being that outlet for them, I think obviously just improves the relationship and makes them trust you even more. So when you do get down to the nitty gritty of, hey man, you may not like to hear this, but there's some certain things that we need to do to make sure you're prepared for 162. Like they're like, all right, cool, you got my back, and you're not just saying this because you want to feel like you're putting your stamp on me as a performance coach or whatever. It's like you actually care and you want us to have the best career possible.
No, I love that, man. And part of what I do here when we're able to talk to the ECU players, I want like the fans to get to know them as people other than just football playing, baseball playing, basketball playing robots. And we had a guy, Isaiah Winstead, a couple of years ago, a really good receiver here for 1 year.
Yeah.
And I'd ask him about football. He'd give me 3-word answers. And then we'd start. I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna just start asking this guy weird stuff, like asking about space or the deep sea or anything. And like, we actually got good conversations out of him. So I like talking other stuff than just what they do on the field. And I think it's important for guys, man. We talk about how laser focused guys like MJ or whatever it was, but you got to have something outside of the sport too to keep you grounded or to just keep you from not going crazy, right?
1,000,000%, man, 1,000,000%. Like that's why a lot of pitchers in the big leagues they play golf or they hunt or they do something to
Right.
distract themselves. I mean, shoot, hunting for me is just I have a wife, 3 kids, 3 dogs, multiple businesses. Like it's a time for me to go sit by myself and be thankful and connect with nature and God and just chill and not have somebody coming at me for a couple minutes or a couple hours. So it's everybody needs that type of stuff, and it goes a long way when you're able to connect with people on that front.
Brandon, football season's wrapped up for ECU. Regular season, we got a bowl game coming up. It's championship weekend. Any games in particular you're looking at this weekend?
Yeah, I'll watch the ACC championship game. Probably flip it over. Obviously, watch Ohio State. They look pretty good. I was actually watching them with Dietz last weekend at the beach, so we'll probably tune into that one as well again this weekend.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, can Indiana give them a game or maybe even beat them, because Ohio State has looked pretty much invincible the entire year. So
they look pretty good against Michigan, that's for sure.
No doubt. All right, Brandon, looking forward to Monday's edition of the Brandon Golden Show. We'll talk to Chase Burns, and excited for that one. Brandon, we'll catch up with you again soon, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Clip.